thank you so much for chatting to us tonight, and congratulations on such an amazing album.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a cracker.
Tell us a little bit about how you feel about this album. Like I said, it's an absolutely amazing album, and you just said it's an absolute cracker. What makes you feel so good about this album, and are you nervous at all about releasing it?
I think I'm not, I'm, what do you say, anxiously anticipating the release of the album and to see what the fans are going to think. But I feel confident that they're going to love the album. I think the production is fantastic. I think Andy Sneap outdid himself on this one, and I think we have really, really strong songs on the album. We definitely pulled together to write a really solid album. I think, which I think a testament to that is that we really struggled to find the singles of the album, if you know what I mean. Everybody had a different opinion. So,
how do you come to a decision on what to release as a single when the album is as good as this, and each track could be a single in its own right?
I think it comes down to basically voting and everybody gets a vote, right? And then if there is one particular song that someone feels very strong about and that doesn't win, they obviously get a chance to win people over. But in general, it's a democracy.
Yeah.
So.
The last couple of years have been so weird right around the world with lockdowns, border closures and things like that. And you guys were in the middle of South America when it all hit. Were you planning on recording an album anytime soon, or did the pandemic kind of almost force your hand because you couldn't tour at that time?
Well, the thing is, when the pandemic hit, as you said, we were in South America, and when we had to cancel the tour and head back home, and obviously nobody knew how long this was going to be. So at first we just said, all right, let's take it easy, wait it out, and see what happens, and then hopefully this is just going to be a minor bump, and then we go back on the road again and continue the touring. But fairly soon, I think it was quite obvious that the pandemic was very serious and that we wouldn't be able to go back touring anytime soon. So after a while, we just said, well, all right, let's just take some time off and just, which we felt we deserved, because it's been relentless, writing album, recording album, touring, and then straight back to writing album, recording album, touring again. So we said, let's take some time off. So we did that, and then after I think 6 months or something, or less, I don't really remember. We said, well, it's no use heading back out when this is over. It's no use heading back out on tour on the old album, because it's going to be like at least 3 years old before we can tour again. And by then, tons of bands are going to be out there with new albums and all this stuff. So we said, let's just focus on writing a new album instead and start the whole process over from scratch, which I think was a very sensible move from our side. And I think also the time off really gave us the opportunity to recharge our batteries and come back stronger with creativity and in the writing process. So I think it was a really good move from our side.
Yeah. During that 6 months, did you do anything musical at all, or did you just give yourself 6 months of complete rest?
Pretty much, I just didn't do shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did some guest vocals on some projects for friends, but otherwise, no, nothing.
So what kind of things were inspiring you when you first sat down to to work on this album? Because I understand some of the things that are explored on this album came from things that your wife had been reading and investigating at the time.
Well, I guess you could say that. I mean, so yeah, at first I didn't really have any inspiration at all, actually, when I sat down, because it took some time for me to get back into the mode of writing and getting the creativity going again. But once I started writing on music, I was kind of looking for different ideas, different stuff, and then my wife and I were doing some interesting stuff together, which she came up with. We were actually attending a seminar with a guy called Andreas Kornevall, who is he's a Swedish guy who lives in England, but he is kind of doing the whole Helvegen practice, which is like it's going to take shitloads of time to explain, but basically it's a map for internal work that some people claim that the Vikings kind of used for, or the North people in the North used for that purpose. So we did that whole work with him, which was very interesting, and it gave a new aspect of Norse mythology that I personally never really thought about before. So that gave me a lot of inspiration for that, and then also we were talking about the whole thing about the COVID situation, and my wife found a podcast that she said, you should do a song about this, because they were saying when there's an obstacle in your way, you have to find a way or make one, and so that became that song basically. So she gave me some very cool angles to go into with ideas that she found, and that I explored through her, from her giving me the tip about it, but otherwise, there's also been a lot of research, obviously, about the Great Heathen Army. I had some really a lot of fun reading up about that whole thing, and there's a few songs on there that deal with the Great Heathen Army, obviously, and then Get in the Ring, which is a song where we wanted to write something for the pro wrestler Eric Rowan. Which was fun, because I did kind of like a look on the phenomenon of Holmgång, which is like a Viking duel.
Yep.
So basically, if you talk shit about someone, they could challenge you to a Holmgång, and then you'd have to fight it out till the death, basically. And so, which is kind of what the whole pro wrestling scene is about. They talk shit about each other, and then they challenge each other, and so it was kind of fun to do that whole thing,
What was it that fascinated you so much about the Great Heathen Army? Because, like you said, there's a few songs on this album that explores them. So what was it that kind of fascinated you about it, but also inspired you when you read about it?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, so the fleet of the Great Heathen Army was over 200 ships with 10,000 men that crossed the Northern Sea to invade England, and that size of army had not been seen on the English coast since the Romans, not even then probably. So obviously it's a massive force that come over the oceans in open ships, basically, and they completely take over the whole of England, basically. But the English then obviously at the end resist, and England basically becomes divided into two: a southern part, which is England, and then a northern part, which is Danelaw, the Vikings, and the capital of the Vikings, Danelaw, is York. But it's a fascinating history, and it just the impact that the Vikings or the Scandinavians had on England, both culture-wise and language-wise and everything. A lot of that comes from that era, and there's so much stuff in English and in England that it is influenced by the Great Heathen Army. So it did have a massive impact. But it also shows that, even though at the end the Vikings did lose, and they still remained because they settled and they got Christian and they intermarried with the people of England, and it's very fascinating on so many levels, really.
Definitely, you've inspired me to read more about it, because we have actually done some tracing back from our family history and found out that our family actually did come from Vikings that settled in the UK during those times. So you've certainly encouraged me to do some more reading about that.
Well, still, I hope I didn't send you down a rabbit hole now.
Oh, Johan, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly, and you've got other interviews to get to. So to wrap up, what would you like to say to all of your Australian fans out there before they sit down and listen to the album? And is there a chance that we might see you guys in Australia sometime over the next 12 months as well?
Well, I hope all our Australian fans will enjoy the new album, and I hope we'll see you guys soon on the road, and we will come back eventually. I mean, this COVID crap can't go on forever, right?
Definitely.
We can't wait. We can't wait to put another shrimp on the barbie with you guys.
Well,